Hello and welcome to Spellbook by the Letters, your YouTube guide to the entire Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition spellbook in alphabetical order. This week, like every week, we'll be taking a look at 7 spells from the 5th edition Player's Handbook, and we will be evaluating them on a number of metrics. That includes the rating, like how much do I like this spell? Is it near the bottom of my list? Is it an all-star? Is it okay? We're going to talk about the components for it, both if they're worth it, and maybe some flavorful ways to do those components. Finally, we're going to talk about who should be casting this spell, because not all spells are made for all casters equally, and depending on a caster's access to other spells, or the way that they can access their spells, it's going to make a big difference in if this spell is worth it for them. So, we have 2 spells left in the A's today, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in, not waste any more time, and get talking about Aura of Vitality. So, Aura of Vitality is a paladin spell, and a paladin spell only. It has a casting time of 1 action, a range of self, which then projects to 30 feet around you. Only vocal components, so you don't have to worry about having your hands free. And then finally it lasts up to 1 minute with concentration. And what it allows you to do is, each turn on your turn, you can use a bonus action to heal an ally or yourself, any creature within 30 feet, and it heals them for 2d6. So I really, really like Aura of Vitality. It is a absolutely fantastic spell. It's really, really good for Paladin. It's slot efficient. It is the most slot efficient healing spell in the game, besides Healing Spirit, which comes from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And so if you don't have that book, this is hands down the most slot efficient healing spell in the game. It's fantastic. And it's really, really great. It's also a really, really solid pickup for lore bards. If you're looking, I call this out. There's certain spells that are just amazing pickups for lore bards, and if you're wanting to heal, Aura of Vitality is great. It's a total for a 3rd level spell, 20d6 worth of healing over the course of a minute. It's decent in combat, an action, and then just using your bonus action. It's great out of combat to just get 20d6 worth of healing out of combat. Compare that to something like Cure Wounds, which is fine. It's not great. For the 3rd level spell, that's going to be 3d8 plus 3 or 4. So big difference there. Even Prayer of Healing, the stronger out of combat spell, that's going to only be 12d8 plus like 30, and that takes 10 minutes to cast. So just really, really, Aura of Vitality comes in strong. For your components, I would say something like Holy Light, heal my allies and mend their wounds. Boom. You have no somatic components. So yeah, love the spell. Pick it up on your paladin. Pick it up on your lore bard. You won't go wrong. Next spell is going to be Awaken. Awaken is a 5th level transmutation spell on the Bard Druid spell list. It has a casting time of 8 hours and a range of touch, and it has vocal, somatic, and material components. The material components is an agate worth 1,000 gold or more, which the spell consumes, so it is very costly to cast this. And it does have a duration of instantaneous. So you trace a magical pathway within the gemstone. You touch a huge or smaller beast or plant. And the target must have an intelligence score of less than 3 or no intelligence score. And then it gets an intelligence of 10, the ability to speak one language that you know. And then if it's a plant, it gets the ability to like uproot itself and move around. And your DM will choose statistics appropriate for this. The Awakened Beast or Plant is charmed by you for 30 days until one of your companions does anything harmful to it, and then at the end of the 30 days, its attitude towards you depends on how you treated it while you charmed it. So let's rate this spell. I think you know where we're headed with this. It's fun, and it's flavorful, and it can be kind of cool, but it's 1,000 gold to cast, and its effect is okay. It gives you a possibly powerful companion, maybe, for some time. Don't pick this up on your bard. This is not a bard spell. Locking up one of your few spells known to a spell that you have to spend 1,000 gold to cast and is a goofy situational RP spell most of the time. This is firmly in the druid's camp, where if you want to use it, you just prepare it for the day and you never have to worry about it again. And that is Awaken. For the components, I guess you would do something like you're tracing the lines, and then it's just you take the agate and boop. Hello, new friend. Our third spell that we're going to talk about today is Bane. Bane is a bard cleric spell. It's a first level enchantment with a casting time of 1 action, a range of 30 feet, and vocal, somatic, and material components, the material components being a drop of blood. It has a concentration time, it has concentration, and it lasts for up to a minute. You choose 3 creatures within range. You say, you 3 make a charisma save. If you fail for the next minute, you anytime you roll an attack roll or a saving throw, you roll a d4 and you subtract it from your result. And then at higher levels, for each level that you upcast, you can choose an additional creature to target with this spell. This spell is aces. It's good on bards. It's good on clerics. It's just one of those spells you can go to and you can always rely on. A d4 might not sound like a lot, but that's anywhere between a 5% and a 20% chance to swing the results in your favor. So say they make it on an 11 or better, they have a 55% chance to make it. Now they make it on maybe a 13 or better because you're subtracting a d4 and it averages out. They now have they had a 45% chance to make it on 11 or better. They now have a 35% chance to make it. So a lot lower. So it's just one of those spells, and it targets a charisma save, which isn't the best save for a lot of things. And there's no creature type that this doesn't work against. It is always going to work. And that's why I really like this. There's no immunity to Bane. There's nothing that stops it besides them just making the save, which a lot of other things stop that. But there's no like immunity to charm, immunity to paralysis. Does not cover Bane. I think the components for Bane is something like bad fortune to you. Something cool like that. Or just any number of curse signs. You can bite your thumb at them. Just flip them off. You know. A lot of fun somatic components for Bane. Our next spell we're going to talk about is Banishing Smite. It's a paladin spell. A 5th level abjuration. It has a casting time of 1 bonus action. It has a components of vocal, and it has a duration of concentration up to a minute, though you're very rarely going to reach that full minute of concentration. Because what it does is you get your weapon ready to go, like all of the smite spells. You charge your weapon with an energy that the next time you hit, this energy is going to be released. When this energy is released, your attack deals an additional 5d10 force damage. And if your attack reduces the target to 50 hit points or more, or 50 hit points or less, if this was 50 hit points or more, it'd be nuts. 50 hit points or less, it banishes it. No save. That means if it's a native to this plane, it's gone for a minute. If it's not a native to this plane, it's just gone. They just go to their plane of existence. I think this spell is fine. Bonus action to add 5d10. That's not great rate for a 5th level spell. That should be said first of all. For a normal smite, you're looking at something, for a 5th level spell, you're looking at 6d8. So it's a little bit better. This will break concentration on anything else that you have, unlike a normal smite. And this does take a bonus action. So if you're looking at just the damage, normal smite beats it. But having this ability to just bork something that's 50 hit points or less, you can add 25-30 to the damage of this spell, when it gets to the lower ends of things, because it's getting rid of something off the battlefield, and that's when it truly becomes great. It should also be noted this can be combined with a normal smite, meaning you can drop a smite and drop this on before you hit, meaning you have a lot of damage coming through from a single hit. It's something you can layer on if you really need to just expend resources and drop something. This spell isn't the best spell in the game, but it's a solid smite, and you should consider it in your daily options of paladin spells. But it's only late game, but does not allow a save, so it gets around all legendary resistances. Aces. The components for that is something like Begone. I think just Begone. Nothing flashy, nothing ridiculous, just cool paladin. The next spell we're going to talk about is Banishment. Very similar to Banishing Smite, actually. It has a casting time of 1 action, a range of 60 feet. Vocal, somatic, and material components. The material components being an item distasteful to the target. I really like that, actually. And a duration of concentration up to a minute. It is on the Cleric, Paladin, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard spell lists. What it does is you choose a creature, they're going to make a Charisma saving throw. They're gone. If they are a native to this plane, they will be gone as long as you concentrate up to a minute, and then they will come back. If they are non-native, if you concentrate for the full duration, they don't come back. They just go back to where they came from. They're gone. It completely gets rid of them. It's a really good spell. It's fantastic. It can be said, like, one, it targets charisma, not the highest save in the game. There are definitely some things that have really low charisma saves. A lot of your outsiders will have a little bit higher charisma saves, but it's nothing. Like, some are going to be really good, but not all of them. And if you can drop this, it swings fights. I think the biggest complaint about this spell is it's one of the most hit or miss spells in the game. Like, either it does, and it completely swings the fight in your favor, or it doesn't, and you've wasted your action and done absolutely nothing with that spell. But I think it's a risk willing to take because of the potential to just one-hit KO non-natives, and at 4th level at that. That's a decently high level, but it's not high level. And even if they're natives, this offers you the chance to get something off the battlefield for a little bit so you can focus on other things, and then you come back and you're set up to just pound into them as soon as they appear. And you can also upcast this to get additional targets, and that's just beautiful upcasting on a warlock. A 9th level warlock, you're always banishing 2 things, and that's just really good and really slot efficient to just start taking out enemies with a single banishment. So yeah. We have a few other... who should be casting it? Everybody. And what are your components that you're using? Something like, Begone, foul beast from hell or earth, I wish to see you not again. Something a little bit more flashy, because you're not a paladin. You're an uppity caster. You're a 9th level caster. Next spell is Barkskin. It's a spell on the Druid Ranger list. It is a 2nd level transmutation spell with a casting time of 1 action. It has a range of touch. It has vocal, somatic, and material components, the material component being a handful of oak bark. And it has a duration of 1 hour with concentration. And what it does is you touch a willing creature, their skin becomes rough and bark-like in appearance, and their AC cannot be less than 16, no matter what. So if their AC is 11, it's going to be 16, actually. If it's a 9 somehow, it's going to be 16, actually. If it's a 12, it's going to be 16. If it's an 18, it's going to be 18. It just can't be less than 16. It doesn't set it to 16. It just sets that minimum. For your components with the vocal and somatic, I think it's just that touch, and then like a flourish for the somatic, and then for the vocal, skid hardened, rough as the trees. They stand tall forever, be unbreakable as them. Rating this spell, I'm not a huge fan. 16 AC isn't terrible, but this spell costs an action, and it takes concentration. It has the niche use of, if you know that you're not going to be able to have armor, okay, but for 1 hour out of the day, getting a good armor class for the cost of a 2nd level spell and taking up your concentration slot, the Ranger doesn't want to do this. The Ranger wants to be casting Hunter's Mark and having that up. The Druid maybe sometimes wants to do this, but even for the druid, there's generally much better options. And even for your, like, a moon druid, your forms your forms, generally your AC is going to be close to 16, and it's not worth it. And eating your concentration is just, no, not a fan. You might like it, but not a fan. One final spell today, and that is Beacon of Hope. Beacon of Hope is a cleric spell. It is a 3rd level abjuration spell, casting time of 1 action, a range of 30 feet, vocal and somatic components, and lasts concentration up to a minute. This spell bestows hope and vitality, and you choose any number of creatures within your range, so 30 feet around you, any number of creatures. For the duration, each target has advantage on wisdom saves, and whenever they heal the maximum number of hit points possible. Really like this spell. It's not the most powerful, and it's incredibly situational. You're not casting this for the max healing. The max healing is a nice bonus from this spell. You're casting this to give your entire crew advantage on wisdom saves. If you're going into a fight where you know that wisdom saves are going to be important, whether that be versus a dragon and trying to make sure your group doesn't get just scattered by frightful presence, or if you're fighting something like an aboleth and you want to make sure that people have a really good chance against the dominate, Beacon of Hope is just one of those spells that vastly improves your chances. It makes it so that your people with good wisdom saves are very unlikely to fail, and it gives a fighting chance to your people with bad wisdom saves. Overall, really, really like this spell. I can't find anything bad to say about it. Its situationalness is great because it's on the cleric list, and it's only a prepared caster spell, so I like it. I like it a lot. We're making great time. I think we're doing a lot better about moving through the spell list. Hopefully I'm getting better. I'm getting more concise with my explanations on why I do and why I don't like things. Hopefully I'm still making sense as I get a little bit faster pace. Please, in the comments, let me know. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you don't like it. I want to make sure that I'm doing an awesome, awesome job and that you're actually learning something. If you have suggestions on things that I can change to make this show better, please, I implore you, please let me know. Do you like the music that I'm using? Do you like when I do no music? I don't know these things unless I get feedback, so keep it up, please. Looking on, I do have to give a shout out to my mother podcast, Dear Dungeon. It's a show that I do with my friend Audrey, and we take tabletop advice questions and we answer them, hopefully giving you good advice, always having a lot of fun. We also do some really fun middle segments like Dungeons, Dragons, and Dives, so I implore you to check that out. I also want to say, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at The Lost Samurai 7. I'm always open to talking about D&D on there. I'm always open to answering questions. And I really just want to share this with you guys and make some more friends in the D&D community. Finally, it's my rec of the week. What am I going to recommend this week? I'm going to recommend Roll Me a Story. It is a podcast that Audrey and my friend Ben and my friend Laurel and my friend Aaron does. Those four, they play D&D in an actual play podcast where everything is rolled at random. They roll their characters at random. They roll everything, their backgrounds, their races, everything they roll at random. The GM makes up NPCs at random, and they go with the story. They just completed their first arc. It's really, really good, really, really fun. The first few episodes, they were still figuring out their audio, but like they've gotten that down pat, and it's just gotten awesome. So please, I implore you to check that out. But class is dismissed, and I'll see you next week.